So it's not about coming up with the plan or doing the plan. It's sticking with the plan, right? You can beat most people at anything if you just stick with it for a year. If you're willing to suck at something for 100 days in a row, then you could beat most people at most things. The bar for excellence has never been so low. And so most of your competition quits after the first sign of difficulty, the first impasse on the mountain where they don't immediately get it, because they've never known what hard feels like.
What hard feels like. Let's pause on those words, because within them lies the entire map for the journey ahead. The hard that Alex speaks of is rarely the physical strain of long hours or the intellectual challenge of a difficult problem. That kind of hard is simple. It is tangible. You can feel the ache in your muscles or the fatigue in your mind, and you know you are making progress. But there is another kind of hard, a more silent, pervasive, and corrosive kind. It is the psychological weight of navigating a dense fog of uncertainty, the quiet panic of feeling utterly lost on the path you have chosen. It is the feeling of running in place, where immense effort yields no visible forward movement. This is the heart that truly breaks people. It doesn't announce itself with a roar. It creeps in as a whisper of doubt in the dead of night. It's the internal friction that grinds your conviction down to dust, long before external obstacles ever have the chance. Understanding this feeling, recognizing it not as a stop sign, but as part of the terrain itself, is the first and most critical step towards ever reaching the summit. This internal struggle is precisely why our minds become so enchanted by the seductive illusion of the perfect path. We are conditioned from our earliest days to search for the right answer, the approved upon blueprint that guarantees a successful outcome. The perfect path is a myth we tell ourselves, a comforting fantasy that promises a journey without storms, a climb without sheer cliffs. It's a siren's call to the part of us that fears vulnerability, the part that sees certainty in a world that offers none. We imagine a path paved with clear signposts, met with constant positive feedback, and celebrated by onlookers at every step. The allure of this fantasy is not a character flaw. It is a deeply human instinct to avoid the messy, unpredictable, and often lonely reality of true creation and growth. We spend weeks, months, even years searching for this mythical map, believing that the secret lies in the finding of the plan, rather than in the fortitude required for the walking of the path. But the map does not exist. The search itself becomes the trap, keeping us at the foot of the mountain, forever polishing our compass instead of taking the first uncertain step. This relentless search for the perfect strategy manifests as a state of sophisticated procrastination, a condition we might call analysis paralysis. It is a master of disguise, masquerading as diligence, as caution, as strategic thinking. It looks like work. It feels like work. It involves watching endless hours of videos, reading dozens of books, creating complex spreadsheets comparing potential outcomes, and debating the subtle nuances between one guru's advice and another's. But it is a hollow pursuit. It is the act of endlessly sharpening a sword you never intend to wield in battle. The psychological payoff is immense. It gives you the feeling of control and the illusion of progress, all without ever exposing you to the terrifying risk of actual failure. You cannot fail at a task you never begin, and so you remain in this protected bubble of preparation, becoming a connoisseur of maps, a theorist of mountain climbing, while the seasons change and the real climbers, those willing to embrace an imperfect path, are already halfway to the peak. It is a comfortable prison, one where the bars are forged from our own fear of being judged as a beginner. The tragedy of this paralysis is that it prevents the most powerful force in the universe from working in your favor, the power of compounding. We understand this principle with money, but we fail to see that it governs everything meaningful. Skill, reputation, trust, insight, they all compound. When you commit to a single path, a single craft, every small effort, every mistake, every minor breakthrough becomes a layer in a growing foundation. Your skills don't just add up, they multiply. As new abilities unlock unforeseen opportunities, your reputation, built on consistency, begins to precede you, attracting better collaborators and chances. Your insights deepen, allowing you to see connections and solutions that are invisible to the person who is always starting over. Every time you switch paths, you are not just changing direction, you are resetting this powerful engine to zero. You abandon the deep hole you were digging and start scratching the surface somewhere new, forever trapped in the shallow work of a novice, never reaching the depths where the real treasures are found. This is where the wisdom of a 100-day rule, or any rule of its kind, reveals its true genius. It is not a magic number or a rigid timeline. It is a profound psychological contract that you forge with yourself. It is a formal, signed agreement that grants you unconditional permission to be a clumsy, incompetent, and inefficient beginner for a defined period. By signing this internal contract, you fundamentally shift the nature of the game you are playing. You are no longer performing for a judgmental audience. You are simply gathering data in a dedicated learning phase. Every mistake is no longer an indictment of your character or potential. It is merely a data point. This single shift from performance to practice disarms the ego. It provides a buffer zone, a sacred space where you are allowed to be imperfect. This act of strategic grace is what allows you to endure the initial period of frustration and low results, the very period where the vast majority of people, unprotected by such a contract, allow their ego to convince them to quit. Within this 100-day period, you will inevitably encounter the most treacherous terrain of all, the plateau of uncertainty. This is the point in any journey where the initial exciting newbie gains begin to fade. It is the disorienting phase where your continued effort seems to yield no discernible results. The feedback loop that once fueled your motivation is now broken. You practice, you study, you work, but the needle doesn't seem to move. From a distance, the path forward looked clear, but now that you are on it, a thick fog has descended, and there are no landmarks in sight. It is here that your mind will begin to tell you its most dangerous and convincing stories. This isn't working. I've chosen the wrong path. I don't have what it takes. Everyone else is progressing faster than I am. This internal monologue is the siren song of the plateau, tempting you to abandon your path for the false promise of a clearer one somewhere else. Recognizing this plateau for what it is, a natural and temporary phase, is the key to surviving it. And here lies the great secret, the philosophical shift that changes everything. The discomfort you feel on this plateau, the frustration, the confusion, the doubt that is not a signal that you are failing. That is the very feeling of growth itself. It is the friction required to create a new, higher level of competence. Think of a caterpillar dissolving into goo within its chrysalis. The struggle is not a sign of death. It is the process of transformation. Think of a blacksmith forging a blade. It is the unbearable heat and the repeated, violent blows of the hammer that turn brittle iron into resilient steel. You must learn to reframe the meaning of this discomfort. That feeling of confusion is the shadow of a new, deeper understanding about to dawn. That frustration is the sensation of your mind forging new neural pathways. When you learn to welcome this friction, to see it as the prerequisite for your own evolution, the desire to flee from it vanishes. This newfound ability to endure the plateau is supercharged by the discipline of focus, which is truly the art of strategic sacrifice. When we hear Alex Hormozi speak of his 9 businesses, we see the ultimate cautionary tale. True focus is not about creating a more efficient to-do list to manage multiple projects. It is about having the courage to create and honor a stop-doing list. It is about the conscious, and often painful, act of saying no to good opportunities so that a single great opportunity has the oxygen it needs to catch fire. It is about willingly mourning the loss of the other potential selves you could have become, to give one version of yourself the chance to become truly exceptional. This is a profound act of strategic faith. You are sacrificing the breadth of optionality for the power of depth. In a world that celebrates having endless options, you are choosing the quiet monastic dedication to a single craft, knowing that this is the only path to true mastery. Ultimately, we come to see that the mountain itself is a metaphor for our own internal landscape. The journey is never truly external. The cliffs you must scale, the storms you must endure, the fork you must navigate, these are all manifestations of your own inner state. The real obstacles are your own impatience, your ego's deep-seated fragility, and your primal fear of the unknown. The world often acts as a mirror. If you are internally fearful and impatient, the world will present you with an endless series of seemingly flawed paths and insurmountable obstacles. But if you can cultivate an internal state of patient fortitude, the path forward, though still challenging, becomes clear. Conquering the path up the mountain is a byproduct of conquering your own impulses first. The ultimate strategy, the one that underpins all others, is the patient mastery of the self. If this deeper insight into the psychology of achievement resonated with you, subscribe for more analyses that explore the mindset behind success. And more importantly, Share in the comments how this principle of enduring the plateau might shift your own perspective on a challenge you are facing. To get the full original context from the source and understand the powerful tactical advice Alex gives on culture, talent, and training, make sure to watch his complete video, which is linked for you in the description below.